Hey everybody, my name's Kyle, and this is Track by Track, music reviews, news, and commentary. 2020 was quite a year for Taylor Swift. She released 2 critically acclaimed new albums, and she continued her high-profile battle over the rights to her back catalog. In response to not being allowed to buy back her own masters, Swift vowed to re-record all her old music and re-release it on her own with full control over the new recordings. When I originally heard her say this, I was skeptical about whether she'd actually do it. And if she did indeed go forward with that plan, what would the re-recordings sound like? Well, here we are in 2021, and Taylor Swift's plans are finally starting to unfold. She's released what's called Taylor's version of her 2008 hit song, Love Story, and she's announced that Taylor's version of its accompanying album, Fearless, is on the way in April. Now, I'm sure some people will find the new Taylor's version of Love Story to be a bit of a head-scratcher. For all intents and purposes, this 2021 version is literally a re-recording of the 2008 original. The instrumentation is practically identical, with the differences being so subtle only the hardcore fans are likely to notice them. There's no reinvention here, which has been the more common approach when acts revisit their back catalogs. For example, Sting re-recorded a batch of his songs a couple of years ago, many of which ended up only being modestly different from the originals. But in Taylor's case, I think the choice to create what are essentially carbon copies of the original songs is actually a brilliant move. Though they may not say it, most artists that re-record their songs are at least partially doing it for similar reasons. They don't own the rights to their original recordings, so making new ones gives them back some degree of control. But few fans will stop listening to the original version of Roxanne in favor of Sting's new version. They're similar, but not at all the same. What Taylor Swift is trying to do here is offer fans a truly viable replacement for the original recordings that she doesn't control. This is the music the world fell in love with and that made her a global superstar. These are the songs fans want to return to time and time again. That is critically important in the age of streaming music. Chances are when most fans today want to listen to Love Story, they're going to stream it on Spotify or Apple Music rather than playing a CD. And every time that song gets streamed, which is probably tens of thousands of times a week, the owner of the recording gets paid. And that's not Taylor Swift. Consider this. The only way the current owners of Taylor Swift's masters make money is if people continue to buy new physical copies or stream the music online. If fans stop listening to those original versions and switch to Taylor's versions, it will significantly diminish the value and profitability of the original masters to the investment company that purchased them in 2020. That's exactly what Taylor Swift wants to happen. She wants people to stop listening to the original recordings of her songs and instead listen to the new recordings. The only way that works in any lasting way is if the new recordings are essentially indistinguishable from the originals. That's Swift's endgame here. She's angling to put herself in a very powerful position here as far as her old music is concerned. Her fan base is massive and loyal, and if all her remakes are the same nearly flawless facsimile as Love Story seems to be, I think they'll happily switch to Taylor's versions. That'll be a huge win for her in this ugly music business battle. As for physical media, I have to say that while I've been critical of Taylor Swift's manipulative marketing tactics in the past, I actually approve of what she's doing with Fearless, so far at least. The new CD and vinyl editions are fully packed and include all the remade songs from the original album, as well as re-recorded bonus tracks she later added to the Platinum edition. On top of that, she's including 6 unreleased songs from the vault. All told, the new Taylor's version of Fearless has a whopping 26 tracks, which I think offers fans a more than reasonable incentive to buy a new copy of the album. Whether or not Swift actually goes through with it and re-records all the rest of her older albums remains to be seen. How people respond to Taylor's version of Fearless will likely influence what she does next. In any case, I do want to applaud her efforts here. Taylor Swift is one of the most powerful artists in contemporary music, and I don't know if there's any other acts that could pull off something this audacious. The irony is that if it works, it will end up devaluing her original master recordings so much that she may end up being able to buy them back after all for pennies on the dollar. If that happens, this will go down as one of the biggest music business stories of all time. Which leads me to say something I never thought I'd say before, and that's that I'm rooting for Taylor Swift. Once again, my name's Kyle, and this has been Track by Track. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Plus, check out some of these other videos below that I think you might also enjoy. And of course, be sure to subscribe, because true music fans always want new releases the day they come out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.